I think the most interesting thing about the law, besides duty of care, which is kind of like due process, the concept of, is hearsay. The misconceptions the public has about hearsay is unreal. It's in the best interests of Hollywood and the corpse to muddy the waters. So hearsay, most people think he said, she said, but that's not true. And if you go, he said, she said, and you go, well, look, it's only admissible as evidence if the witness cannot attend. So that means anything said in court that the witness cannot attend, it's going to be used only if they cannot attend, right? So, I'm right. But that's not it at all. Hearsay, hearsay is literally in court, not he said, she said, but, oh, she said? Well, bring them in. Oh, she said or he said? Oh, bring them all in. Oh, if they cannot attend? Well, it'll be admissible as hearsay evidence only if they cannot attend. As either they're dead or they're whatever, they're out of the country, or you can't find them, blah blah blah. That's it. That's all it is. Just because it's only hearsay that's acceptable, admissible in court, is if they cannot attend. People mistake that to think, and I repeat myself, mistake that to think that that means, oh, if they can attend, it's still it's inadmissible, right? Because it's hearsay. He said, she said. It's hearsay. But it's, yes, the court does not like people saying he said, she said. It's like, well, bring them in. They're a witness. Why can't they attend, right? And that whole he said, she said is the reason I frickin' tape record. Abso-frickin'-lutely. And it's, I started doing it in 2010 when I went to the government for help because they started treating me like shit. So I'm like, oh, I'm tape recording this just for my own sanity. And then when I looked up, what's it called? First party consent? One party consent? I think it's first party consent. In British Columbia, one party consent is generally sufficient for recording private conversation, and that means that only one party needs to consent. It's not like Hollywood where you go up to somebody and you go, "May I tape record this, please?" No, it's like if you feel your health at any aspect of your health, financial, emotional, physical, is in danger, not only are you allowed to record this, but it's admissible in court. And I went to the police about this, local police, and they were like, yeah, totally. Are you in danger? Right? You know, being concerned, it's like, why are you tape recording? That if you feel yourself at risk, are you in danger? Maybe to say if they catch you recording, right? So one party consent is generally sufficient for recording private conversation. And a private conversation is very specific. Very specific. It means if you're part of the conversation, it's a private conversation. That it's like eavesdropping. That's why, well, the government specifically needs permission to a warrant to eavesdrop, wiretap, and all that stuff. But they are recording somebody else's conversations, a bunch of people's conversations. That's different than a private conversation. Right. Or where no party consents are being recorded. So basically, that's what I thought it was. It's like when you start the recording, you're supposed to go, I give myself consent to being recording. That's kind of really weak. That's a weak part of the law. But yeah, it's part of the law. If you feel yourself in danger, you've got to give your party consent. That's hilarious. You'd think if you felt yourself in danger. So yeah, if I was going to record in the future, well, I don't. Yeah, right. Spectrum found. It's like, do you actually have to every time you start recording? You gotta go. I give myself consent to this, right? So yeah, I'm recording this. I'm giving consent. That's hilarious. Um, yeah, and most provinces, and I believe it's legal in the states as well. It's one party consent. I thought it was first party consent. Yeah, because it's like I. This is really like wishy washy. It's like if you're recording a private conversation and you're not part of that conversation, is this like this is really fudgy. It's like really not only is it weak, but it just begs the question, right? Obviously, if you start recording, it's obviously you meant to record a private conversation, and of course, well, here's the thing. What is this saying? Is this saying if you start the recording and record the whole day, if you're eavesdropping accidentally on other people, is it admissible completely and entirely, right? Or does at least one party need to consent verbally, right? It's really wishy-washy, and I don't like that part of the sentence because it opens the topic to be a bit more loosey goosey when it comes to recording third party conversations, right? It's like, But anyways, in the future, I'll be definitely saying, hey, I give myself consent to record. Sounds absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, um, the problem is, what if the problem is you put yourself in danger if you say I give myself consent and people are like around you are like what, right? Because sometimes you don't have time to, right? Sometimes a situation comes up that is that is if you start speaking to yourself like that, it's going to sound really suspicious to people who might be acting in bad faith. So yeah, they might this is legal advice, so I'm sure that part of it could be, hey, I feared for my life and I didn't have time to give a verbal consent, right? Or feared for my financial health or anything like that. A couple of times I've been in that scenario, and one of those times I helped somebody with a court case. It's not a That's probably a once in a lifetime event for me. But yeah, wild. Anyways, yeah, here said he said she said, and duty of care is amazing. It's just bloody amazing. Um, Duty of care I found out about when I was reading employment law, and I was shocked that the employer cannot fire somebody for being drunk on the job. I was like, what the hell is going on with the law when it forces, like, what the hell? You They have to put the employee into rehab? They have to offer rehab? What is this hand holding? And then I realized the fact is, if the employer doesn't even bother going, hey, buddy, you seem to be addicted to alcohol or anything else, uh, you really need to, we're just letting you know, you really need to go take rehab and get intervention or something like that. Consider this an intervention. Um, you might lose your job if it continues, but they're not, just to fire somebody for that. Yeah, right. And there's also, you could you could be in legal jeopardy if you fail to provide safety or some level of care to prevent, that's where negligence comes in, right? This is about negligence. And the law is pretty hard about that. The other one is don't be vindictive. Being vindictive, you need justice. A lot of people, when they go to court, want to punish and hurt the other party because they felt the need to seek revenge. And the courts just see that coming a mile away. It's the same kind of thing as if you're guilty, you've got to feel remorse because that's expected. And if you don't, you're most likely to repeat the offense, and therefore the punishments are harsher. It's all about, it is corrupt as hell, and it can be corrupted. And just look at SCOTUS right now. Unbelievable level of corruption. But at the same time, it's like, why is the courts expected to, what is it called? Legislate from the bench? That means, make law when the politicians are too chicken shit to actually step up and deal with decent immigration law and decent abortion law and all the decent things that the hot button issues are. They're too chicken shit to write laws about, or fight within themselves and not actually get a law out, and it's up to the courts to decide because the politicians are corrupted, right? And it's compromised. So yeah, don't blame the legal system when it's the politicians that are at fault, and by that it's their lobbyists, and by that it's the ultra rich. There's a reason we came so close to actual decent law back in the 70s, right? It was because of protests, and we got this way because of protests. And it's not by voting, it's by protests. You'll win nothing by voting for one senile bastard over a liar, right? We all know that. Anyways, there you go. I thought you'd find that interesting. Those are a few things I've learned while successfully navigating the judicial process over the decades. Jesus. Bloody corporations.